Welcome back to the Trials and Tribulations of Tennessee. This is Fearless Anderson. Today we're going to be talking in depth about Nehza. Had several requests for how-to builds, how to play, how to utilize effectively what is potentially the most tanky, speedy, all-purpose character in Warframe. I'm sure that that's going to set off a whole slew of arguments. What about this character and that character, and why Rhino Prime is the tank, and why, Grendel's the lamest character ever created. There's tons of opinions out there. This is just mine, but I've been using Nehza for the better part of 5 years, and it is still absolutely my go-to frame, regardless of the mission. So here's how it's going to work. All right, so let's take a look at how I've got my Nehza built. So let's first start with talking about powers. Firewalker, first, your first power. R1X activates. You leave a trail of flame as you get a speed boost and run through your mission, lighting everything that comes across your trail on fire. Now, the better you mod this up, the stronger it gets. The way I've got mine modded right now leaves me with 25 points of energy drain for a duration of nearly 47 seconds. The effect duration, the amount of time that the enemy is on fire, is almost 16 seconds, with a speed boost of 25%, and that's base, It only goes up from there depending on what mods you utilize on a weapon versus the aura mods that other people in your group are using. That can really accelerate your character at an exponential rate depending on who you're running with. So the quality of the people you hang with also can affect all of this. So that's all the more reason to stay with Tennessee. Damage per second, that's if they walk through your flame trail, 432 points of fire damage, baseline of course, per second. So if it lasts 15.5 seconds, it tells you how much fire damage you're doing. So let's move to the next one. His second ability, I deleted in exchange for Zada's Whisper. The halo effect that they utilize was honestly the least used power of any frame that I've ever used, to the point that I forgot it was there until I was able to remove it. So Zada's Whisper is absolutely a must for Nehza, and here's why. It gives you a void damage extra for all attacks from an equipped weapon, once you activate it. So you hit that R1 and square, and suddenly all of your weapons are stronger. So that's 56% extra fire damage in my case, with a duration of almost a full minute. So you can hit that repeatedly and just knock your enemies all over the place. Just absolutely makes you just all the more of a tank on your offensive aspects. Warding Halo, potentially the most used and underappreciated power of Nehza. So here's how it works. You hit R1 and circle, and you get your own personal extra shield, and that's on top of the shield that's already attached to Nehza. Most of your Warframes have some form of shield ability. This simply adds to it. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, what about the mod that allows you to cast your shield on other people? And I say I'm selfish, and here's why. I got rid of that mod. I mean, it's still mandatory, but I took it off in exchange for boosting my abilities for the rest of my character. If someone goes down, I can revive them, but if we're all dead, we all lose, right? So my Nehza doesn't die unless it's in a significantly high level mission with ridiculous amounts of damage and I'm not paying attention. All right, so with that said, 75 points of energy drain upon each cast. Sounds like a lot, but promise you, you're running with the right group of people, and with my Nehza build, you're not going to need a lot of energy, or you won't need to worry about it because you're going to constantly be finding energy. So the damage absorption of your initial cast is 6,712 points of damage, and that's just base shield. Cool trick. If you wait to cast it when you're being attacked, every point of damage is built into that absorption rate, and suddenly you've got thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands. I've seen videos up to 1 million in damage absorption shield ability, okay, which makes you nearly invulnerable, okay. The radius of 2 meters, that covers everything that you need. You could make it bigger, but there's really no need to. Damage per second, okay, what does that pertain to? That is ricochet damage. As the enemies stupidly shoot you, those bullets bounce somewhere, and often it bounces right back at them, which means that for every bullet that they shoot at you, if it hits them in the ricochet, they take 270 slash damage, okay? And with a near invulnerable shield, a lot of them will die before your shield dies out, okay? An invulnerability time of 3 seconds does wonders when you're surrounded by enemies and you need to make a quick getaway, or maybe just jump out of the way so that you can take a better attack. And that absorption multiplier is up to 5.4 times the damage, and that leads to that whole high generation of damage being generated into your shield. So if you're getting hit for thousands and thousands of damage by a ton of different enemies, suddenly you've got that the million hit point shield. Last one I'm going to talk about as far as powers go is Divine Spears. Now, you get to impale nearby enemies on energy spears. Awesome. Who doesn't love that? If you use that in connection with your flaming chakra, the hula hoop of doom as I call it, you can use it like a pinball effect and actually generate your own energy. I don't need it. Trust me, you won't either. But that is one option to utilize those Divine Spears. Other thing about Divine Spears is they are my crowd control. If I'm being overwhelmed by a lot of enemies, I activate that. It gives me the opportunity to either kill them while they're being impaled or to run away. So if they're on fire because of your flame trail, and then you pop your energy spears, so they're impaled and on fire. Now, the radius is 19 meters. I keep mine small. Some people love to go big radius. I don't really need it. It's mostly as an all else failed kind of measure for me. So how does that work? Okay, so for 18.6 seconds, they're sitting there hanging, dying, impaled, potentially also on fire. It's a lot of time for you to get your hits in, to reload, to lay down an energy pad or an ammo pad or both, to generate a specter if you need to. Okay, so it really gives you that breathing room to continue your onslaught. So with that said, let's take a look. Okay, so let me open it up. Now we're going to actually look at how I've got him modded. Okay, so the first thing you need to consider when building your Nehza Prime is your aura mod. I recommend giving a full-on aura forma so that you can put whatever aura mod you want into your Nehza, and that works for any of your Warframes. Always get those. They are worth their weight in plat for the simple fact that it gives you, you can use whatever you like. You find something that works for you, use it, right? Well, if you do the right forma in it, it won't affect your energy use as heavily. So I use corrosive projection. Why? Because it depletes your enemy armor, just passively. As you're walking around, they're losing armor. Who doesn't like that? Okay, to the right of it, on your Prime, you'll notice that there is an augment mod for rush. Put that there. You need rush. Trust me, it's worth it. Okay, fully maxed, you get an extra 30% sprint speed. So you have that mod. Nehza's already fast. You add that mod to it, and you've just bumped up his overall sprint speed, right? Well, on top of that, you hit R1 and X, and now you've got your flame boost, so which is also a 25% increase. So suddenly your Nehza is flying. Not as fast as Volt or the other speedies, but I've beat some of them in a foot race. So anyway. So next one you're going to want to do is all of your Umbra mods, okay? Umbral Intensify, Umbral Fiber, and Umbral Vitality. And yes, you can put them all in one little area if you want. I'm not that anal. I just put them wherever I had space. Okay, Umbral Intensify. while not necessarily the strongest of the intensify mods, I use it because I spent a lot of time up in the void and fighting the different high-level enemies in Steel Path, that you're going to need that Tau resistance to help ensure that you survive. Okay, and so the next one would be, I'm going to look at the Umbra Vitality, an extra 770% health, plus almost 20% of Tau resistance. Now remember, all of these mods are fully maxed on my side. This is going to take some work to get it where I have it. Okay, and then of course Umbral Fiber, an extra 192.5% armor with almost 20% Tau resistance. Okay, the reason for that, more armor, more better, right? So you throw that in there together with armored agility, which adds 15% sprint speed plus 45% armor. So now you've really got a fast tank. Now let's look at primed vigor. Oh wow, 220% shield capacity with 220% health. Okay, already looking at the different mods and different powers that Nehza has. Armored agility, primed vigor, and the Umbral mods already have this running pretty tanky, right? Cool, but we're not done yet. Now I look at primed continuity, which is a Barricatier mod. Okay, an extra 55% ability duration is epic. Okay, when you know that you've got your ability duration, so that's your firewall particularly, and your spikes. Zada's Whisper also increased 55%, which means that you went from nearly lasting a minute to now nearly lasting a minute and a half, and that is enough time for you to be hitting everything in your path with damage. Okay, then we talk about power drift. Okay, now power drift, some people love it, some people hate it. I like it because I don't like falling over in combat. All right, okay, first it gives you an ability boost of 15%, but it also gives you that 30% chance to resist knockdown. Between all of my abilities attached to Nehza, that ability to resist knockdown, I very rarely fall, okay, regardless of the enemies that I'm up against. All right, so that's super important. And then of course, let's not forget Augur's Secrets. Okay, fully maxed, you get a 24% ability strength increase on top of, and here's the kicker, 80% energy is spent that you spend will automatically be converted to shields. So you're always, every ability you use is adding to your shield count. Okay, so those all together have made Nehza almost unbeatable tank, but very fast. Yes, Rhino's armor is ultimately going to last longer than mine because Rhino's made of armor. Okay, but this hits energy shield, it hits armor, it hits health, and it hits speed and damage. Okay, so that's 5 different aspects to one frame, when most frames really focus on 1 or 2 of those aspects. Okay, Nehza already has a lot of those built into him. With these mods, we've pretty much made them unbeatable. So let's talk about arcanes for a second. Okay, I don't really care about arcanes. I just haven't taken the time to really master them yet, which is why my Arcane Grace isn't fully maxed. I'm sure I'm going to get some pushback on this in the videos and in the chats, but I like Arcane Grace, and here's why. More health, more better, right? I get that extra Arcane Revive, which means that your Arcane has a possibility of popping them back on again and restoring your health. Okay, awesome, cool. That's just those extra little last case Hail Mary type of abilities. And then Arcane Barrier, same idea. Upon the likelihood that my shield is heavily damaged, okay, that Arcane Barrier might kick in and pop my shields back up to max. And it only has a 1-second cooldown. Now I'm going to fully max it, and we'll see how that affects the overall abilities of my Nehza, and I'll let you know. So there's my basic setup, right? So let's take a look. So I've got rank bonuses because you want that prime leveled up to 30, right? So you get an extra 50% energy, 200% health, and 200% shield. Okay, that's base. That's without all the extra mods. That's without the trickery that I have pulled with how I've set things up. You'll notice, yes, I formatted 8 times. Okay, vital that you do that. Trust me, 14 extra points of capacity is nothing. because that could be done real easy with different mods. But you already start to see how badass this frame can be. So let's take a look at a couple more little details before we go and show this bad boy off in action. So let's take a look at the appearance, because appearance in Warframe is not everything it seems to be, right? Pardon the pun. And here's why. Sigils. Do not forget to put your sigils on. And I'm not talking about your stalker sigil or one of the cool little trophy sigils that you can get occasionally. I'm talking about your faction sigil. Currently, because I think it looks cool and it gives you a bonus, you've got your assassin sigil, which when you activate it, if you look at the different ones, some of them come with damage boosts. So I picked the assassin sigil because A, it looks cool, but it gives you an extra bonus. But a lot of the Red Veil sigils will give you extra damage percentages or help you gather up more points towards your faction. Okay, so I'm also a little bit of a goth. I like the black and red and the dark nature of Red Veil. They just kind of appealed to me. But to each his own. Find the sigil that works for you with your Nehza. All right, so that's in a nutshell. I could get in all day about the different ways that that I have decorated my my Nehza. You want to also look at these Vespero Apex shoulder insignias, okay? And the reason for it is that they have some extra little boosts that if you attach them to your like right here, the Vespero Sakara, just gives your frame a nice little extra boost. Okay, so let's pull back a little bit. Remember, you can do random, you can do default colors. I like a color that's easy to see when it comes to the energy, so I pick the dark reds, and emissive, of course, so that you can see where your spears are, etc. But everything else I go with solid black, just because I'm a firm believer in real camouflage, even though that doesn't really play a part in the game. Okay, you can play around with Sindana. None of that affects gameplay, just how badass you want it to look. Okay, I'm also a huge fan of Snake Eyes, so I thought Nehza in this color scheme looked the closest to Snake Eyes, in my opinion. He's a space age version. Sure, if there were a 2099 Snake Eyes, it would be Nehza. All right, so who wants to see this bad boy in action? Well, not just yet, because first of all, don't forget your power type for your operator, so that you can collect the right kind. I stick with Matter Eye, but everybody's got their ideas. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch over from the Nehza Prime that I'm currently leveling up to my personal favorite primary weapon, which is the Kuva Comb. And I'll do an entire video on just my weaponry for you on a later date if you want. But I really want to showcase what Zada's Whisper can do with the Kuva Comb. Okay, so let's go ahead. I've got it on solo, so let's go ahead and pick ourselves a nice little mission that allows us to... I don't want to. Oh, well, why not? I don't know who this is, so I'm not going to say yes. All right, so for my purposes, I'm going to take you to Hydron, because everybody says Hydron is, where you go to level things up with your boys, right? Well, we're going to have a little fun here, because I am going to run Hydron solo. Just to give you an idea, okay, I cast the shield first, hit my speed boost.
Ballistics and archaic weapons.
Now already, I'm going to run the perimeter without activating it, just to show you how with the right mod, you can actually lap your firewall. Okay? I've seen very few Nehzas with a trail quite as long as mine. So if you activate this and then start running, you're going to start doing a full perimeter of Hydron, and everybody will catch fire. Okay, so I'm going to reactivate that, and let's Let's run some perimeter real quick. Here we go. Ooh. See that? Look at that. I've already lapped it. Alright, so I'm going to let everybody jump down real quick just to show you the spears. But you'll notice, as long as I leave that, look at that, another 25 energy. Just by doing nothing, just by killing random. Alright, I've only pulled the trigger once. I think I've swung my hammer once, my shield egg. Look at that, that easy. Okay. So I'm going to let myself get a little overwhelmed so that you can see what the spears do. Oh, one of the cool things, the fun little things, is you can actually leave a trail of flame in the air. Alright, so here's the spears. Bam! Look at that. It's so strong, and these guys are so low level that it pretty much just kills them instantly. Okay, so I'm going to activate Zada's Whisper. Bam! Look at these damage numbers. Okay, now the Kuba Comb is one of the hardest hitting auto shotguns in the game if you mod it right. Now a lot of people are like, oh, but you use too much ammo. I'm like, trust me, with the right mod, you'll never run out of ammo. Okay, it's a little slow on the reload, but that's okay because I have an offensive, defensive flame trail to keep them from getting to the center of the map. So let's see, what do we got? Now remember, if you're soloing Hydron, it's going to take a little longer to beat it just because it's just you. Now personally, I've gone up to probably close to wave 20 or 30 solo without a Spectre. Not the most fun that you'll have in this game, but it is doable. But that's the power of Nehza in a nutshell. So let's see. So yes, I know what you're saying, but hey, Fearless, look, you're out of energy. I can assure you that won't be forever. And even then, plenty of time with no enemies for me to pick up, drop an energy shield. And of course, that is the one drawback to Hydron is enemies get lost, enemies get locked downstairs. Look at that, 25 energy. That's enough for me to draw another speed boost.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
We have to win this. Yeah, I'd better win this if I'm doing a video on it. I'm solo. Better be able to prove that Nehza is as awesome as I say. Now, to be fair, some of the awesomeness of my Nehza is also because I run a Kuba Comb shotgun. That auto and just massive amount of lead heading in any direction towards the enemy, yeah, it's going to make you pretty much unbeatable. But let's say you do run out of ammo, okay? I'm also running the Kuba Nucor, which is a chain beamed weapon that chains up to, I think, 6 enemies at once, filling them with whatever damage type you mod it for. Killing them, making them go crazy if you use nuclear energy or radiation, which basically means that they go nuts and start shooting each other instead of you, which is always nice. And then, of course, my personal favorite, the shield egg. You mod this bad boy up right, and you have the fastest, hard-hitting hammer in the game. Now, again, these views are of my own and are not necessarily supported by all of my fellow Ten of Siege, but for me, it's what works. So, again, we've got some enemies that seem to have gotten lost. Let's see if we can find them. Awesome. Alright, and there we go. And there's another one. Yep, and I got my energy back, so cool. Wave is cleared. I'm already at wave 3 solo. This obviously picks up the further in the game you go. So you start hitting those 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You've got so many enemies that you have constant ammo, constant health, and constant ammo, or shield drops that you pretty much don't run out of anything after a while. You just got to get that far. Let's see, got some baddies. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. I see the core. So check that out. Yep. Let's get some hardcore shotgun action. And yes, you can aim with the Kuva Comb if you want to, but you don't really need to. It's pretty much whatever direction you're facing is going to get hit by a wall of lead. Even if they've got their own little shields, just like the bad guys in Division 2. If you've got the lefty, that shield is toast. Alright, so let's see what happens when we come across the heavier enemies on these levels. Let's find us a Nox. I know he's around here somewhere. There's always at least one, right? Look at that, how quickly I regenerated 150. Oh, cool. Xmas time. Look at how quickly it shreds through them at this level. Yes, they get harder the bigger they are. But you know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Now, of course, the bigger they are in this game, the faster you can kill them because it's a bigger target. Let's see, I got a couple that are downstairs. Let's see if I can find them. Yep, there we go. That would be that one. And it looks like, and we're done. Look at that. And I got myself a nice little Neo relic. So I'm going to go ahead and come on out. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any other questions on what I did or how I did it, or how I modded things up. Happy to sit down and chat with you. Maybe we'll run a couple missions. Look at that. Just a few short minutes, got 118 kills all by myself, just running in the perimeter and showing things off. In a real mission, those numbers are going to heavily double or triple. So, Fearless Anderson, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.